thing to think about with home, though, is that it's a bit of there may be a bit of a head feint. So I think visually, 3D home is important to Sony's ambitions because it most shows some differentiation even between the Mii's and whatever Microsoft is doing.
Brings you to the cyber world?
It brings us into the cyber world, absolutely. It's like jacking into the Matrix. But from what I've heard from people close to Sony's online initiatives, 2D home, which is actually what I've been more interested in, because I feel like that's more essential and will affect more people. They claim, and they're biased obviously, they claim it's extremely compelling and really well done. And to me, if they nail that and don't quite get the 3D stuff right away, that'll be a black eye, but gamers, core gamers, will focus a lot more on 2D homes.
What do you mean by 2D homes? I don't know if people.
I mean like a flat interface, because the complaints
which
have been
lodged shown yet,
exactly. The complaints which have been lodged against home and are understandable are like, do I really want to navigate a 3D space to do relatively simple things, to meet up with friends, go into games, come out, look at trophies and whatever? And again, from what I'm being told,
there's a
the bulk of the stuff you'll be able to do in 3D, you'll be able to do in 2D for quicker navigation. And if they nail that, and they have to nail that, if they get the 3D right and get the 2D wrong, that's going to be a problem for them.
Okay, interesting. Now, speaking of online, Stephen, when the PS3 came out, a lot of complaints about the lack of online features. Now there are rumors, obviously, we're going to see, in-game cross-media bar and trophies and all these things that people have been asking for a couple of years. Do you think, has Sony picked up enough ground in the online space to now say that they're really competitive with Xbox 360?
I don't think it's yet ready to be a selling point for the console. So I think if, online, I think is about wanting to go where your friends are, so that you can be connected to your friends. And until they have a fully universal system, the way that Xbox 360 has, you're still going to go to the 360 first. You get Grand Theft Auto replace, Burnout or whatever. It's like, where are my friends? They're on my buddy list on the 360. I'm still going there. But even back in the days of the PS2, I mean, people were playing SOCOM a lot online. It's just like it just didn't have the sex appeal of Xbox Live on the Xbox. It didn't have a brand around it. But I think people who are interested in online are going to be increasingly satisfied with the PS3. They're just going to have a harder time getting all their friends together with them. It's still the challenge.
And what about handheld? PSP, we hear, despite what, Ubisoft is saying that obviously there are, issues with the platform. God of War.
Not in Japan. Isn't it the top-selling machine in Japan?
Yeah.
PSP is doing well in Japan. I think in the US, great game like God of War came out this year, which I think is probably the best PSP game to date. What do you think? But then, you look at the DS sales, certainly here in the US compared to PSP, and, DS is on fire. And Guy, what does Sony need to do with PSP? Do you think do they talk about it at E3 at all?
I'm punting, man. I have no idea what to do to fix it. And the reason I'm mystified, I'd actually be I'd have a better understanding if the hardware wasn't selling.
Yeah.
But the hardware is selling, and software is not moving in large numbers. And so you have to ask yourself, are people really, that many people buying it to pirate? I suppose that's possible. Are they buying it as a media player? How much sense does that make when there's the iPod? Yeah. So I really don't understand why the hardware is selling so well. In Japan, it's more understandable because it's Monster Hunter. Right. Saying that just sort of drives sales. So given that sort of confusion, I know Sony does a ton of market research, but I just don't know. I mean, I think whatever they do, they have to approach it, I think, like a Nintendo platform before Nintendo's platforms were doing really well for third parties, and just say, look, if this is important to us strategically, we have to push it. And you're seeing some of that stuff where you can download games. So for instance, Echo Chrome, the only way to get it for PSP in North America was to download it through the PSN store and do it. I think they're going to do more of that. Unfortunately, it still doesn't sound like they're going towards a hard drive enabled product. And I really do think they need to consider edging away from UMD and going much more in an internet sort of only
and then
device.
Sell it alongside with the PlayStation 3 as your companion, play your games on the road, check in.
Kiosks in stores where you can download games right there as well as over the internet. I think those are the things they need to look at for that and sort of take the learning from this and use that for PSP too.
I think it was it GDC that they announced PSP Slim? I can't remember. No, it was last E3, I guess, where they had it out. We had a story prior to that where we talked about what the new PSP was going to be, and we're like 80% right. The one big thing we weren't right about was the fact that it was going to have flash memory or some sort of hard drive. And we heard even after that that's something that's still in the works. Like in their mind, this isn't, what came out was not PSP 2. It was like the DS Lite. It was their Lite version. I still think that they have that very much in mind, and I don't know if this would be the time for them to announce it, but I think that's a possibility. The other thing is, God of War was amazing on the PSP, but how many other games have been amazing on the PSP?
Right.
I mean, they need to really push, like Ngai was saying, they need to get more developers to really not port a game, but actually sit down and make a game from the bottom up for the PSP that delivers a good experience.
And they're losing developers. I mean, one of the best developers on there was Ready at Dawn.
They shipped their kits back.
Exactly. They're moving on, you know? And something you were saying really earlier about PS3 that you have to watch with Sony is, you know, we were talking before we went on camera about 8 Days being canceled and Getaway being canceled. Sony has had one of the strongest internal PD groups of the manufacturers, but I look at that and I see some real weaknesses there. You know what I'm saying? They're moving on from, there won't be a Heavenly Sword 2.
That's the rumor.
Which, the rumor. And if that's the case, you know, there's another IP that Sony put a lot of money in. I'm sure we won't be seeing a Layer 2. So, you know, so that's one area where Microsoft has been doing better than Sony, I would say, is like establishing strong new IPs. What they did with Gears and things like that.
Hopefully Resistance will, you know, dominate this holiday season as it goes head-to-head against Gears. Are there...
I just want to say about the PSP, though, is that, I mean, if you look across the board at handhelds, I mean, I was just talking to people earlier today after I flew into LA that this is the first trip that I've gone on in a while where I took neither my DS nor my PSP.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've kicked the habit. But I just find that there are fewer relevant and exciting games to play on the portables. There's still some excellent games. I love the World Ends With You on the DS, but I find in general that it seems like we're about a year removed from kind of this avalanche of amazing portable software, and it may have been because the platform holders were really focusing on those as they were still transitioning the home consoles. And now everybody, Nintendo and Sony at least, are so focused on their home consoles that I see a de-emphasis in handheld software. I couldn't name to you one DS title that I'm excited about for the rest of the year. I can name one Sony PSP title that I've heard about that I'm interested in that's going to be internal from
Which is?
I can't say. Sorry, Jeff.
Can't say. The new Loco Roco?
No, we'll keep this for another forum. But
okay.
it's
you tease the viewers like that.
I'm sorry.
What other are there other Sony games that we're expecting? Any surprises at E3? I mean, there's rumors that we certainly know God of War 3 is coming. I don't know if we're going to see that at E3. The new game from the Project Eco guys. I mean, that's talked about that we might see that. Anything else you guys are hearing that might be surprises from Sony?
Well, I think they should tease the real next SOCOM. I mean, not to diss SOCOM confrontation, but I think definitely people, and especially people will be happy as they see more of what SOCOM looks like because confrontation, the graphics have gotten better.
Right.
I think people sort of want SOCOM 4, and I think they want to know more about that.
All right. Anything else, Brian? You think?
I can't think of a single thing.
Wow. All right. Well, maybe they'll surprise us. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about a company that hasn't told us much about what's coming out later this year. It's Nintendo. What are they going to do with the Wii and DS? We can find out next time right here in the bonus round.
Next time, Hail to the Champion. We analyze what to expect from industry leader Nintendo at this year's E3. How does Nintendo steal the show?
I don't think that they're going to be bringing out anything that appeals to the hardcore any more than they did last year.
And does Reggie have any problems right now he needs to solve?
I'm beginning to believe that the Wii's sales are driven not by games but by peripherals.
Find out next time as the bonus round's E3 preview continues.